Hi-ho, Sketch here.
I was not prepared for that. And I'm Shades.
And this is
The Muppet Show! Yay!
I guess we're not doing the voices.
Yeah.
The long-term listeners are so disappointed. I've been practicing for weeks and weeks. Guys, thanks for joining us. Every time you join Shades and I, you join us in our GoCo in a different corner of the Geeking Out multiverse. And this week, the pencil's on the tree. The nog is on... Where do you keep nog?
The table?
The fridge, I guess.
The hutch?
Do you want nog to get room temperature?
No.
I don't think you do.
You don't want room temperature nog.
The nog is nicely chilled. The tomatoes not refrigerated.
The nog, I was going to say the nog is on the bridge of the spaceship Defiant.
Exactly. Perfect.
So Star Trek deep cut for you there.
Deep cut. But as we come together for this festive...
virtually
come together as we do all things these days in 2020. Where, Shades, do we have the GoCo set up for this holiday season?
I'm glad you asked, Sketch. GoCo is set up in the home of Emily Bear, the family farm and homestead of one Fozzie Bear.
Yeah,
and we are out in the country, just away from it all, isolating. We are hanging from coat hangers.
Yeah, we originally booked this to get away on a relaxing holiday we thought we'd have.
Just the two of us, warm by the fire, geeking out.
Yep.
We got here and all these weirdos showed up.
Yeah. Weirdos. So, guys, if we are hanging from coat hangers in the hallway closet, and
we had bunk beds in the attic, but we got pushed out.
And we're the ones saying weirdos showed up.
Yeah.
We're the ones on hangers, and there's more weirdos yet to come.
More weirdos on the way.
That must mean
we are talking about
the Muppets.
The Muppets. Because
particularly around Christmas time.
There are more Muppet Christmas specials than you can shake a frog at.
Than you can egg a nog at.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm jonesing for some eggnog, I think, this episode.
Sketch, do we have a theme song?
Oh, of course. The holiday season is rife with theme songs.
It is.
So I think we do. So we need a little Christmas right this very minute. We need a little Christmas now.
We kind of fell into Kermit at the end of that.
Oh. Hi-ho. Kermit the Frog here.
Thrive.
So guys, so we're gonna talk today specific. There's so many Muppet things. There's so many Muppet things, and there's so many Christmas things. But if we were to draw the Venn diagram of Muppet and Christmas, we have. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the bigger expert. We have two specific Christmas things that come to my mind. Are there more?
There is a third. There is a 2002.
Ooh, that's too recent.
Muppet. Oh, what's the name of it? 2002. Yeah, I think it was just called A Muppet Christmas Movie. Yeah,
okay.
It's a very Muppet Christmas movie, released on NBC and produced by NBC Universal right before Disney bought the Muppets. There's a third TV movie. That actually
we're not going to be talking about that one.
We're not going to be talking about it. It actually feels a lot like the 2011 The Muppets. The plot is similar, where they get kicked out of the theater, they have to do a big show, and blah 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 blah. Joan Cusack's in it. It's meh.
Yeah, the Muppets being kicked out of the theater is to Muppet plots as amusement park attraction going amok is to Michael Crichton. It is a well of which we dip often.
Oh man, yeah, it really is.
So we're going to talk specifically about the what year is it? 1980.
1987 TV movie, A Muppet Family Christmas special.
Oh, yeah. And if you haven't seen it, go ahead, pause the episode. It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, which is crazy.
Just YouTube search that, and you'll get the entire thing in its entirety, complete
with the super creepy news report voiceover at the end.
Can we get right into that? Just because, I sat down and I watched
bonkers.
I watched this one with the whole Sketch family.
It's
so
we're
talking Mrs. Sketch, and we got Little Doodle there, and we're watching the Muppet Family Christmas, and it ends with I don't know, dead children. Is it right to harvest organs from dead children? Tune in at 11 to find out. And it's like, Jesus Christ, give us 20 seconds to put the kids to bed. Honest to God.
Wait a minute. Will this work if I do a screen share? Will this work, Sketch? Oh my goodness. If it works. As the credits are rolling.
Jesus.
And then followed by Julie Andrews' Christmas.
Christmas.
Oh my goodness.
Gosh, the 80s. What a time. What a time to be alive.
Cocoa Bananas.
Apparently not a good time to be a doomed baby. Could you imagine these days referring
oh my goodness
to doomed babies?
Is it okay to harvest the organs of doomed babies? Yikes. Did you see that coming, long-time listeners? I don't think so.
Doomed babies begins with D and B. Yikes.
That's like they call small talk where we're from.
1, 2 baby kidneys.
Oh my goodness, this took a wild turn. So,
that one not our fault. That was,
and that is how it aired in a number of markets. On the West Coast, I believe they were able to remove it, but on the East Coast and Central, any VHS recording of it that was harvested from television will have that at the end,
which is just what we did back in the days.
Yeah.
And then, of course, other than that, we are also going, because that's a short special. That's 50 minutes if you're watching it on YouTube.
You're in, you're out. It's perfect length.
And if you're doing a podcast like Shades and I, you need a little more meat on the bone. Yeah. So we also took in a Muppet Christmas Carol,
the 1992 feature length film.
Yep. Which it's the Muppets in Victorian
Dickensian England.
Doing Scrooge and that whole
my cocaine
shtick. So that's what we're mainly going to talk about today. But of course, spoiler alerts
for anything Muppets,
anything Christmas,
the works of Charles Dickens.
We're also fresh off The Mandalorian, so hey, that might come in here.
Entirely possible.
Very possible. We're fresh off the finale.
My name is John Favreau. Fuck you, Ryan and JJ.
I think he listens to the podcast.
I know he does.
By the way, if you're tuning in,
I had a frog in my throat
just to hear our thoughts on Mandalorian, stay tuned. That's coming. It's coming in a very, very soon episode.
2021 coming soon.
Yep. So I guess we should just get into the spirit of things.
Yeah.
Talking about our history with these two properties.
Let's do it. Sketch, what is do you want to go chronologically?
Yeah, let's start with the Muppet Family Christmas.
Sure. Sketch, what's your history with Muppet Family Christmas?
If I watched it when it originally came out, that would have, you said it's 87?
1987.
So I would have been 3. So if I watched it that first year, I do not recall.
Gotcha.
But it is a holiday special that I remember watching year after year after year. I believe we had it on VHS, but I'm pretty sure anytime we watched it, it was just when it aired for that season. And we just kind of watched it as a family.
Interesting. Do you remember this airing year after year after year on television?
That's how I remember watching it. I remember that more than like my parents digging out the old VHS and popping it into the machine.
I don't ever remember seeing this on. Sorry, not to interrupt. I don't ever remember seeing this on TV again after it aired.
Well, then maybe because I know for conservatively, I'll say probably 6 years, but most likely longer than that, in a row, watching it.
Cool.
Every year. and then probably haven't seen it. I think I watched it once, like in college or whenever, like someone first told me like, hey, you can watch the whole effing thing on YouTube. I was like, oh, that's great. I'll watch that around Christmas.
I'm positive I forced this upon you multiple times in college.
It's very possible. So I watched it then, and then I haven't watched it since until just a couple nights ago when I sat down with the missus and the doodle, and memorable is the word that comes to my mind, because like, you know how a lot of times we watch these things and we're like, oh shit, I forgot that blank.
Right.
No, I like remembered everything. It felt like childhood. It felt familiar, and
what does childhood feel like, Sketch?
You know, just like it just felt like feel good. It just felt like warm and fuzzies and you know, getting together for the holidays, seeing someone you haven't seen in a while. That's how it felt like with this holiday special. You know, I don't have to say holiday. This Christmas special. This is from the era of specifically Christmas. So it is a 100% Christmas movie or TV special. How about you, Shades? What is your history?
I have a very vivid memory of watching this possibly in 87. Or perhaps it aired again in later years, but I have a vivid memory of my dad sitting in front of the television with our VHS player, recording it live and trying to pause it to cut out the commercials. And there's like 3 or 4 commercials that he missed, or just like 1 or 2. It's an Oscar Mayer commercial and an Oshkosh Bagosh commercial. And
I remember that very clearly, you know, back in the day when you would record things off the TV, like trying to get the commercials out so it'd be so seamless. But like now that we're the age we are, like I'd be so interested to see commercials from back then again.
Exactly.
But yeah, so many of my old VHSs, I meticulously edited things out.
Exactly. And just to that point, we wound up eventually with a dual VHS system to like record it live and then record a second copy off the taped playback so we could remove the commercials.
Wow.
We really got into it. Yeah, I remember watching this, I think live. It must have been because that my copy of the VHS has that news report at the end. So that must have been the original airing.
Yeah. Haunting, really.
Yeah, and
I'll say memorable. Didn't remember that part.
Oh,
that one came out of left field for me.
Yeah, I get a kick out of that every year. And it is the Shades family Christmas thing that we watch every single year. I brought it to college. I'm pretty sure I made our pod in college watch that a couple of years in a row. Yeah. It's my go-to. We're gonna probably throw it on again this Christmas Eve, and yeah, that's how we roll.
I don't know if we in the Sketch household we really don't currently have a every year pull out
interesting
thing. You know, as Zoodle's getting a little older now, you know, he's 2.5, so this is his first Christmas where he's like getting aware. Christmas. So maybe we'll have something that we've watched together this year that next year will really stick to him, and that'll become like our Christmas thing.
I think it's going to be Muppets.
You know, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh no!
Now, no,
not into the Muppets.
Oh no, he watched both things with us.
Oh wow!
All the way through, both of them.
Okay,
it was a fun time. Now, of course, long-time listeners, just so you are aware, Shades and I did watch the Muppet Family Christmas Ulysses cut, where we took VHS copies from all over, and we pieced together the story of all the doomed babies.
Yes.
You really fill out that B plot. You could call that the B plot babies. Of the. No, the B plot of the Muppet Family Christmas is without a doubt Doc's ruined. Holiday.
Doc and Sprocket's ruined Christmas.
And to be fair, Doc has every right to be upset about this.
Oh, Doc is blameless in all of this, yes, and he he plays. Doc is blameless. He like goes above and beyond, and good on Sprocket for not eating any weirdos.
Yeah,
because he's a trained Fraggle hunter.
Oh, and let's keep in mind this is the 80s, so it was, I guess, a little more acceptable to find a stranger in the snow, and then that stranger forces you to change your outfit.
Clothes, your outfit.
That's not flying anymore, Miss Piggy. That's a big no-no, Miss Piggy.
Yikes!
She's a real pig.
She is.
So I guess let's talk a little bit about A Muppet Christmas Carol. How about you start that one, because I started the other one.
Sure. I saw this in theaters in 1992. I saw it at the Park Cinema, which is like this. Now it's a live music venue. It's been rehabilitated and turned into a live main stage, like nightclub type thing. But it was a two theater, like holdover from the golden age of cinema, like the 20s, like a 1920s movie house that was still like a 2-screen movie house with, get your ticket outside, go in, there's the vending concession, and then you go left or you go right into one of 2 theaters.
Yep. And
I remember watching it, and I remember not being wowed by it. My parents took me 1992, and I don't think I ever bumped into it again. But I will say this: it made some impressions on me, like the Marleys, the Stantler and Waldorf.
Oh yeah.
They're at the first spirit that Scrooge is visited by, his deceased business partner. They make it Stantler and Waldorf. Jacob and Robert Marley,
and
Bob Marley.
They.
I mean,
that was low hanging fruit, and they plucked it.
I don't want to get too far down the raving rabbit hole, but Muppet Chris, it is much better than I remember, and definitely is a movie that there's more for. It's a Christmas Carol. It's geared more towards adults than children. Certainly, the humor is. And then the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is haunting in every sense of the word. And that stuck with me. But yeah, the Marley brothers, as they're like being dragged down by their chains, just like, it was particularly gruesome.
If you haven't seen it, they shudder. They do it. They throw a really good shudder into their musical number.
It stuck with me
because it is a musical.
Yep,
we should say that it is also a musical, and so they have their own number about their damnation.
Yes,
I suppose. Yeah.
And then those 2 things stuck with me. I watched it for the pod, and I was delighted. Michael Caine was fantastic. I mean, the man can act against a Muppet.
The man, I think I actually wrote that somewhere in here.
He can really act against a Muppet.
Yeah. This is literally the note I have. Michael Caine is crushing it, and he's talking to Felt. Yeah. And that is, and I think that's one of my last notes. So I think it was really like when he turned
crushing it.
And when you when Scrooge, spoiler alerts if you've never seen the Christmas Carol, but Scrooge has a change of heart at the end.
Yeah.
And
he is changed by the experience.
Yes. And seeing him treat the Muppets
with dignity.
Yes. And love and compassion. I was
and he even sings a song.
He's doing this to people's hands.
And walking along these I don't know. Did you Google anything about Muppet Christmas Carol?
Mm-mm.
I did a very brief history of it. But when there are human performers, the Muppeteers are in pits. There are no floors.
Right.
So Michael Caine's walking along catwalks that are no wider than maybe 2 feet.
Yeah.
And the guy doesn't miss a beat.
He was wonderful. One of my first notes was, what the fuck? Michael Caine is in this?
He was not their original choice.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you about my history because it's super short. My history is I don't think I saw this in theaters. Maybe I did. If I did, it did not stick with me. My strongest memory of this is I think my cousins had like a playroom / rec room in the basement of their house where the kids would play, and I think they had like a framed movie poster of the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, really?
That's my clearest memory of it. And then I definitely saw it, but not with any sort of attention paid. So my guess is it was put on a lot during Christmas parties, like while the kids were playing. Because I'm the oldest of a multitude of cousins, so there was no like, okay, we're just going to sit down and watch this.
A murder of cousins.
Yes, it was really just like, oh, this is on in the background of
the
chaos of children. And then, so I don't think I ever saw it in its entirety, and I know for sure I never saw it with any sort of attention span put on it at all until I watched it for the pod. I think growing up, my Christmas Carol story was the Disney one. Remember where Disney had one where like Mickey was
exactly yes.
And
Mickey's Christmas Carol.
I remember that one.
And I think Goofy is Marley, and his face is the door knocker.
Yeah. Oh, that was a creepy scene.
And that's at the Haunted Mansion ride in Disney.
Yeah.
They have that.
And because I remember that one, like
that was very
Scrooge
scary.
is like looking at his grave and everything, like the ones that are imprinted in me.
Yep.
So that's just a long way of me saying that, like when I watched
that was too scary for me as a kid.
Yeah, I remember it being scary. It's a scary story, and we're going to get into it.
It is deliciously dark.
It is deliciously dark. And when I watched this, I think at this point it was like 5 days ago, with once again the Sketch Family. I was kind of like blown away because I was not expecting the level of production that I was in store for. And I'm talking across the board from like sets and puppets to the effing star of Michael Caine and the effects. I mean, this was done
above and beyond.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I didn't find anything. I looked up and down and left and right and in Fraggle holes and just came up with nothing. Yeah. But the idea to make Gonzo Charles Dickens being the third person omniscient narrator of the story was fucking brilliant.
It's
brilliant.
It's my number one rave of this thing is that Gonzo is our Charles Dickens, and he's part Dickens.
Bringing it.
He's part fourth wall breaker. He's part like
he's Deadpool
someone
before
from our
Deadpool.
time. Oh yeah, I mean, strong agree. That was like the most genius part of this whole thing.
It's like looking straight down the barrel of the camera. Mm-hmm. Like, but how do you know? I just know.
Yeah. It was, and then to have Rizzo be basically portraying us,
yes,
giving Gonzo someone to talk to answer the questions that we're having.
So good.
What a smart way to tell this story and keep kids entertained, especially when there are parts that like this. No matter what we do, even with Muppets, this is going to go over kids' heads.
Right.
How do we keep their attention? We'll have Gonzo like walking them through it.
Yeah.
Perfect. You nailed it. Let me ask you this. Unrelated BQ.
Okay.
You have a favorite Muppet?
I've had different favorite Muppets at different points in my life.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's the classic story. I mean,
Gonzo.
You can tell a lot about a person by their favorite Muppet.
Yeah. Gonzo is by far like I'll give you my top 3 Muppets.
Okay. Top 3 Muppets. Here we go. Count them down. This is where we need that sound effect. Number 3.
So Gonzo the Great.
Mm-hmm.
Sprocket the dog.
Oh yeah, Sprocket's great. Sprocket makes a little cameo in Christmas
Carol.
Sprocket
makes a little cameo in Christmas Carol. Like I caught it. I was very excited. And number 3 So like spanning the Muppet universe, or just like the Muppets as we know them, or does
I will allow you
like
to span
Fraggles?
the Muppet universe. You can take from anywhere that you would like.
And I guess I would have to go with Snuffleupagus.
Oh sure, Snuffleupagus.
I don't know why. Like I always come back to Snuffy.
Yeah,
there's something about that elephant that wise and noble.
Is Snuffleupagus still showing up in Sesame Street?
I don't think so.
I don't think
Snuffy was. It's interesting because Snuffy's niece still shows up, but Snuffy was Big Bird's imaginary friend.
Yeah, I remember. That was from our era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever crossed over into
so that other people could see him.
Yeah, but his niece,
Big Bird kind of outgrew him.
Big Bird kind of outgrew him, and now Big Bird in the Great Hereafter. Did they get a new Muppeteer for him?
I think I've seen Big Bird show up in some. I have not seen a lot of Sesame
current
Street.
On Sesame Street. It's on HBO now, right?
I wouldn't call myself current, but I bump into it from time to time.
Yeah.
In the episodes I've seen, I don't think I've seen Big Bird. Definitely focused way more now on Elmo. And there's a pink monster that's very big. I don't know her name,
but she's like monster, right?
That's
Avenue Q. I'm sorry.
That's Avenue Q. But this monster also might be named Kate. And then I think I've talked about it on the pod before. Cookie Monster still in the show. Cookie Monster back to eating cookies.
Fucking love Cookie Monster. They tried to make him Veggie Monster for a while.
Yeah, and that was dumb, and they walked that back. But
they made him green too, right? And like for a hot minute there.
I don't know. I was boycotting Veggie Monster, so I don't know. But now here's the thing. Now he owns a food truck.
Wait, what? Excuse me?
Cookie Monster owns a food truck with another little new Muppet who does the cooking. And it's great because they get an order from like a kid, like from like a oh
my God.
Let's say like a writer writes in, like an actual kid who watches the show and is like, oh, Cookie Monster, it's my cousin's birthday next week. I need a birthday cake. And like, so they make an order. And then so like Cookie Monster goes to the little chef Monster is like, what do we need to make a cake? And like he lists all the ingredients and Cookie Monster gets them out. And then they're like, oh no eggs. And so they take the food truck and they like go to a farm and show where eggs come from and everything and get the eggs. And then they make the food and Cookie Monster pigs out on it. And then there's always a second piece of the food that they send over to the kid. I think it's a great way to use Cookie Monster. They finally figured
Cookie Monster out.
They got him.
It took 40 years.
But you know what?
But they finally figured him out.
Yep. It was the pendulum, and the pendulum started way too far on one side. He was just a maniac eating cookies nonstop.
He was then Robert Downey Jr. of cookies.
He is. Yeah. And then the pendulum swung way the other way where he's still a maniac. Like the problem wasn't the cookies. The problem is the maniac part.
Maniac part. Right.
But no, they fixed the cookie part and made him veggies. But now he's a little more sane. He has a 9-to-5. He's farm to table.
Free range cookies.
He indulges. Certainly. He still indulges. But he brings food to kids' understanding.
C is for cookie and cookie is for me.
Yep. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Maybe now's a good time to also say, Shades, what is your history with...
Well, wait, Sketch, who are your favorite Muppets?
Oh, I only have one.
Well, who's your favorite Muppet?
Gonzo. I love Gonzo.
Gonzo, yeah, interesting.
I don't know why. I guess because he's always been weird. Like
he's in love with a chicken.
It might be because he's loving with a chicken. I mean...
It's because he shoots himself out of cannons.
We're going to get there, but...
There's like I forgot what sequence it's in, but there's like a hot minute where blink and you'll miss it. Like a goose walks by, he's like, "Oh, hey."
Oh yeah, no, yeah. He misses super creepy, like going into a door or something. Because I mean, he's attracted to foul.
Yes,
that's the thing. He's attracted to foul. You don't know what Gonzo is. There's a real mystery as to what he is.
They tried to explain it in Muppets in Space, but it was so bad I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay, well there you go. And I don't know. That's what's always endeared to Gonzo to me. I mean, part of me likes Fozzie, certainly.
Yeah.
This comedian with a particle and always wanting to try. And then I do love the curmudgeons. I mean, I love the two.
Sandler and Waldorf.
Yeah, I mean, I do love them because you love to hate them.
Yeah.
But like to me, it's like not even questioning. Gonzo is my favorite. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So here's the big question. Here's the meat of the podcast, I guess. Shades, what is your history with the Muppets?
The Muppets. That's a tough one. I think the first Muppet vehicle I ever saw was probably Muppet Babies, the cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to say the same.
And I remember watching that daily. I think it was a daily syndicated type thing.
Yeah, like a Nick Jr. or whatever it was when we were young.
And that
babies,
yeah,
making your dreams come true.
They've made a reboot.
Yep, there's an updated version now.
Little known fact, I worked on some of the episodes of that show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was my Muppet moment. That was fun.
It's I don't know if we've watched it yet.
Yeah, it like the original cartoon was just bonkers. They could like go into the walls and like different universes and cross over with the Fraggles. This one, the new one, is much more like
grounded
concrete, sequential. Yeah, concrete, sequential. Like impart lessons to children. Like as much of the animated daytime programming for children is now.
Oh yeah, you got to have a lesson if you're going to get greenlit.
It's not just about hijinks and imagination and adventure and entertainment.
I remember watching the Muppet Babies, and a lot of times they would show up in, like, they'd play with their imagination a lot, and so they'd show up in scenes of like well-known movies.
Yes,
but I was so young that I didn't know these movies or references.
I will say there's a lot of rewatch value there.
I bet there is, and I got to go back because I distinctly remember, and this is almost embarrassing to admit, but I distinctly remember seeing Return of the Jedi for the very first time, going, shit, this was in Muppet
Babies. Yeah. Yep.
Because I think we've talked about it. I didn't get on the Star Wars trade until the re-releases in the late 90s. So by then I was in middle school. My Muppet Babies years were behind me.
Right.
But I was like, wait a minute, these walking things.
Yeah.
We're in Muppet Babies.
Yep.
And then I never went back and saw the Muppet Babies episode.
And there were a lot, like Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, I would say like that made such an imprint on me in Muppet Babies that when I finally saw Raiders, the trope with Indiana is that always that the boulder crushes him. But he escapes it in the movie. But every parody is always the boulder crushes him.
Yes,
I was like, this is not how it's supposed to go. But it was Raiders. That is how it's supposed to go.
Right.
But I had that image of like Muppet Babies, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Imagination thing.
That's interesting that both of us were Muppet Baby babies.
Yep.
How about
the Muppet Show?
The Muppet Show.
I didn't see that until much later because that was on way earlier. That had already I think come to an end by the time you and I would be cognizant of media, or very close to the end of that. But I do remember Muppets Tonight. Do you remember Muppets Tonight?
I don't remember Muppets Tonight.
Like the Arsenio Hall era, like they updated the Muppets to do like a late night talk show.
Okay.
I think they tried this again a couple of years ago and it just didn't work. They tried to make it like The Office. That's not what the Muppets are.
That's not what the Muppets are.
That's not what the Muppets are supposed to be. And it was like them, staring down the barrel of a camera doing interviews. It's like that's not the vehicle
only
for
Gonzo.
the Muppets. Yeah.
Only Gonzo and only Dickens.
Exactly. But Muppets Tonight was very good. And it was an updated Muppet show, but instead of a theater and a variety show, they were doing a late night variety show, I guess. And I thought it worked really well. I loved it, and it was not popular, and it did not last very long. I think it only lasted one season, or not even a full season. And then like this era of Muppets, I don't have very high opinions of, but I guess I need to go back and rewatch them. In the minisode, I said this was directed by Frank Oz. It was not. Frank Oz did Great Muppet Caper and Muppets Take Manhattan. Brian Henson did this, and Brian Henson is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
He also did Muppet Treasure Island, so I guess I need to go back and rewatch that because it
I
probably
remember
is much
Muppet
better.
Treasure Island too with
Tim Curry.
Yeah, I mean, you're already starting at in the plus column in my book.
Yeah.
I would rewatch that too. I would like to rewatch that.
Yeah, we might have to come back to that later.
I probably remember Muppet Treasure Island better than I remembered. Well, obviously, I told you I didn't.
Treasure Island.
Well, absolutely, actual Treasure Island.
But I was going to say Treasure Planet,
Muppet Christmas Carol.
Right.
I probably remembered Muppet Treasure Island better.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
How about the offshoots like Fraggles and Sesame Street?
Fraggle Rock. Oh man, I fucking loved Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, I was big into Fraggle Rock.
Big into Fraggle Rock. Yeah. And I don't remember when that was, but it lived so vividly in my brain.
Yeah.
What's always amazed me is that at like the height of Muppet prowess, like right before like the early, like 92, I guess, when Henson died. Or he died in what, 90 or 91? 91, okay. I think. But they were doing Sesame Street every day. Mm-hmm. They were doing the Muppet Show, mm-hmm. and they were doing Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
And voicing and like all of those characters and producing all of that content. Mm-hmm. That is insane. And when you think about it, the Muppeteers, there are scores, let's say, of Muppeteers, but mm-hmm. then voicing the characters, we're talking about like a handful of maybe six people.
Yeah.
5 to 6 people that voice all those characters.
Yeah. I mean, you can hear it when you're watching.
When you're an adult, you hear it. When you're a kid, you don't.
Oh yeah, when you're a kid, it's just you're not even thinking that the voices are coming from something other than the mouth of the puppet. But yeah, I like listening through.
It's crazy.
Christmas Carol. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's that guy just doing a little difference here and difference there, and you really walk away from it being like, wow, impressed that it was like a dozen people who brought all these characters to life.
Well, I mean, here's a great one that Steve Whitmore, who took over for Kermit when Jim Henson passed, he voices Rizzo mm-hmm. and Kermit, mm-hmm. who to my ear sound nothing alike.
Yeah, they're very different characters.
They're very different. So I mean, to be a Muppeteer and to voice a Muppet, you have to really have some range. Mm-hmm. But Jim Henson voiced Kermit and Ernie, Swedish mm-hmm. Chef, Guy Smiley, the Newsman. Yeah, it's bonkers when you think of like who they voiced. Frank Oz, all of his characters kind of sound the same. Bert, Piggy, Fozzie, Animal, Cookie Monster. They all kind of live in that same register. Yoda. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But he's a little less dynamic, I guess.
Well, there you go.
What were you talking about?
History with the Muppets.
Yeah, Sesame Street. I watched the shit out of Sesame Street.
Oh yeah,
like every day. Did not enjoy the like the animated parts where they tried to teach you something. Just give me the Muppets.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
Sketch, what is your opinion? But just before you give me your history with the Muppets, what is your take on full body shots of Muppets? Muppet legs.
I am against them.
I am also against Muppet legs. I'm highly against Muppet legs. Anytime I see like Muppet legs or Muppet feet, I'm just like, no, Muppets only exist from the waist up.
Yeah. In A Christmas Carol, they do it's sparingly.
You get a full body shot like, of Fozzie, and it was just like,
yeah,
it looks too much like my dog.
Shot of Kermit, and it's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, in the new Sesame Street, like they're obviously doing it with like green screen and stuff, and like they're doing a lot with full body. And no, thank you. No, thank you. I think we'll go ahead and say it right now. This is a top half only Muppet based podcast.
Yeah,
we only want the top.
Geeking Out is a from the waist up Muppets podcast only.
We'll have a bottomless tag.
Yeah,
that's what we'll say. This is your official bottomless podcast.
Sketch, what is your history with the greater Muppets universe?
I mean, it's strange. I didn't think it was going to mirror yours so closely, but it really truly does. I think my first encounter with the Muppets was Muppet Babies, and certainly Sesame Street, but not really understanding. And of course, Sesame Street isn't Muppets. They exist within the same universe. What the Muppets are, a specific troupe of like a specific group of people. So definitely saw those two. Watched Fraggle Rock like religiously. I don't know what it was, the underground nature of it, the bright sets, the bright like the floofy hairs. I don't know, but like and then the little what were they called, like the doozers or whatever, the little green guys.
Yep, doozers.
And then going up above to the like the trolls or whatever they were, like the.
I don't remember. I just remember the trash heap, but I don't remember what the people that lived around the trash heap.
And then of course Doc and Sprocket. Like I loved Fraggles.
What was really cool about Fraggles with that though is that in different areas of the world, Sprocket had a different human companion. So Doc was just in the United States.
That makes sense.
In the UK, they had he was called the Captain. They lived in a lighthouse, and then in all the other markets, they had other things.
That's really cool. Yeah, because Doc is definitely your relatable character into this world. So you want your character to be. It's kind of like it reminds me of like the Power Rangers, how they took all the Power Rangers footage and then they filmed their own Angel Grove.
Yeah.
This is not the Power Rangers episode though. And yeah, definitely saw the Muppet show from time to time. But like you said, after it had been out,
after it had peaked.
So you even as a kid, you're watching things that you're like, oh, this is from a different time,
right?
Like a little bit. And I've seen some of the movies, not all of the movies. I've only seen one or two of like the more modern movies, and that's it really. I don't even think Doodle has. He kind of Disney Plus is super smart in that they have all their shows a little thumbnail,
right?
And so he just picks what shows he wants based on a thumbnail until he starts learning how to say specific show names. It keeps recommending the new Muppet Babies to us, but he is not called on that one yet. So I haven't seen it.
I wouldn't do it. No.
Okay. There's a lot of good stuff on.
There's a lot
Disney
of good
Plus
stuff on Disney Plus,
for kids.
So Sketch. Have you ever seen the original Muppet movie, the Muppet movie?
I believe I have.
Muppets Take Manhattan.
No.
Great Muppet Caper.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Great Muppet Caper.
There's an image that just seared in my brain of like Piggy climbing up the side of a museum on a rope, like Batman style.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's stuck in my brain, but it is.
So which one's what's that one?
That's
from?
great.
Caper?
That's Great Muppet Caper.
Okay, that's the one I must have seen.
Yeah.
Christmas Carol, obviously, Muppet Treasure Planet, and then I saw the new one. What was it? Just the Muppets.
The Muppets, yeah, with Jason Segel.
Yeah. I loved that. I thought that was a great movie.
I loved that. That featured very heavily at my wedding.
It did.
Yeah.
It definitely did.
That was an early. We can't agree of whether it was our first or second date, but that was Elise and I's first or second date, depending on what you judge by.
Something.
It was formative.
Something memorable.
It was a formative experience.
Yeah, I think long-term listeners are dying to know, where do you come down on this argument? Which do you think it was, first or second?
The
date. Wait, going to the Muppet
first.
Okay, and so she thinks it was second.
I don't. The first one was just kind of like a polite.
Yeah. You were still casting a wide net. It was one of many dates you had that day. But But to her, that meant everything.
That's exactly. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sketch.
And then the second date was the
Muppets. Yep.
Movie.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. We got it. And then I think there's been more, but I don't think I've seen them.
After I thought the Muppets.
Yes.
Was brilliant. I thought it really brought the Muppets back to what they do best.
Yeah.
Introduced 80s robot to us, which was just fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah.
And then they followed it up with Muppets Most Wanted, and that was trash.
I did not see that one.
Don't bother. Absolute trash. And pretty much everything after that also trash.
Let me ask you this: when did they introduce the little bunny? What's his name? Bennington.
So his name changes. So he's Bennington Bunny.
Bennington Bunny.
He goes back to the Muppet Show. Like, they had a cadre of just Muppet animal characters. They had cows and penguins and bunnies and woodland creatures. He was one of many. And then in the little known, in that era in which Family Guy was canceled on Fox and then brought back, they had a cadre of shows.
Oh yeah.
One of which was Craig the Bunny.
And that was that?
And that was him. He got renamed Craig.
Oh.
Craig the Bunny, and he had his own show in the same era where Firefly had a show. All the shows that only lasted one season and were canceled.
Yeah.
So Craig the Bunny. Did you ever watch Craig the Bunny?
I didn't watch Craig the Bunny, but I remember
it was meh.
Bunny. It was meh.
Yeah.
I remember that bunny's introduction to the gang as being one of the big things I saw.
Yeah, and then Pepe the King Prawn. He was kind of huge for a while. That was that's in that era of a very Muppet Christmas movie. I believe he features kind of heavily in that.
Have you seen? This is a stupid question. I don't know the answer, but have you seen the Muppet show at Disney?
Yeah, the Muppets 3D.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's amazing. So
it's
good.
It's spectacular.
It's fucking
so
amazing. Good. Yeah,
one of the smartest parts of that entire
thing is chef, the fact fires a cannon through the back wall.
Chef is the one who's running the projector.
It's
the
brilliant.
Lights in the back. Oh my gosh, that's
Swedish.
Fantastic.
I love the Swedish Chef, but if you really look at that puppet, he's a 2-hand puppet, and the hands are actual hands. They're not.
Yes,
they're like human hands.
They are terrifying.
They are terrifying, right?
They are terrifying.
Right. Also, I don't think he's actually Swedish.
I wrote down in my notes.
I think the Swedish Chef.
I wrote down,
suffered some kind of traumatic brain injury, and I don't mean to be insensitive to people with traumatic brain injuries, but I think the Swedish Chef has just suffered some serious traumatic injury, and they've just dressed him up as a chef. I don't think he's actually a chef. I have
written in my notes here from the Muppet Family Christmas. How does Shades feel about the Swedish Chef if he thinks my French accent is offensive?
Turkey worky in the bird to bird.
Yikes. Yeah. We're lucky the Swedes are so kind
offensive.
To the Muppets.
Super offensive. My goodness.
And creepy with the human hands.
Yep.
He's probably, I mean, we're lucky he's so silly and goofy because he's probably
cheeky.
Hands down, pun intended, the most terrifying Muppet.
He is terrifying.
Yeah.
He's haunting.
Yeah. But you know what? He's probably probably up there in my top 5.
Yeah, I would agree. Top 5 Muppets.
They do a lot of great things with him.
In the intro before after the Muppets came out, when they were trying to figure out what to do with the franchise, they released a number of shorts that on their YouTube channel that are just brilliant. And the Swedish Chef had a number of really good ones where they do a barbershop. That actually, I think, wound up making it into the actual movie where they do a barbershop quartet. They did a series of those. And they did one where he's making popcorn and the whole kitchen explodes because he puts too much fucking popcorn and he puts it in everything.
Sweets.
He puts it in the microwave. He puts it in a kettle. The whole thing just turns into popcorn. He's a good time.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He is a good time.
Beaker.
I love Beaker. Mr. Honeydew.
I mean, yeah.
Poor Beaker.
Poor Beaker and Honeydew.
They treated Beaker pretty well in Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
He did not get maimed.
Or electrocuted.
Or anything.
I think they shrink his head in the Disney Muppets 3D Adventure.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I think they shrink multiple parts of him, and then eventually it's the head, and that's what he's wandering around with. Yeah. Yeah, poor guy. Yeah.
It's horrific.
Bunsen Honeydew.
It's a great name.
Isn't that? Yeah,
Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
That's a great name. Oh, okay. All right.
Sketch, where are we? We're
going far down the Muppet rabbit hole. Do you have any history on these two specific properties?
I don't have any history on the Muppet Family Christmas, and I mean, I scoured.
Yeah.
I do have some history on Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Following Jim Henson's death in 1990, talent agent Bill Haber approached his son Brian with the idea of filming an adaptation of Christmas Carol. He said, "It's the greatest story of all time. You should do that." And later informed Henson that he sold the idea to ABC as a television film. Longtime Muppets writer Jerry Jewell was hired to write the script and decided to insert Charles Dickens as a stand-in narrator in order to maintain a faithful telling of the original prose in the material. Henson stated that Gonzo was chosen because he was the least likely choice to play Charles Dickens.
Yeah, I strong agree.
I strong agree.
I'll put Swedish Chef slightly above Gonzo.
That might have been
that might have been a rant.
Yeah.
What the F is going on in this movie?
Like, can you imagine? Oh my goodness.
What is this drunk man telling us?
Still pair him with Rizzo.
Oh yes. I just have Rizzo just dropping F-bombs all the time. I don't know what the F you're talking about, man.
Rizzo was added to inject some humor and serve as the Greek chorus. Established Muppet characters were initially written to portray the ghosts, with various accounts stating that Robin the Frog or Scooter was to be the ghost of Christmas past, Miss Piggy to be the ghost of Christmas present, and Gonzo before he was written to portray Dickens or Animal as the ghost of Christmas yet to come. I think Animal as Christmas yet to come would have been entertaining.
I think that would have been a good one. And I also have this image of the robed figure just with Gonzo's nose sticking out of the hole in the middle.
Yeah.
And like and just doing that as the gag, like still silent, never speaks, doesn't look like Gonzo at all, but just has the nose sticking out, so you know he's under there. Sure. But I still that would be second to what they did, because I think what they did was perfect.
Right. The idea was scrapped in favor of new Muppet characters that would be better underline the ominous nature. After the script was submitted for approval to ABC, the executives of the Walt Disney Picture Company offered to purchase the script for a feature film instead of a television release. Nice. And this is before Walt Disney Company bought the Muppets in 2004. And this was the first Muppet vehicle to be produced and released by Disney. So this was their first pairing, even though they aired the Muppet Family Christmas on ABC. English actors David Hemmings, Ron Moody, David Warner, and American comedian George Carlin were all considered to portray Ebenezer Scrooge. Can you imagine if George Carlin had been Ebenezer Scrooge?
It would have a very different tone, but I'd still be on board in a very different way.
Right.
I kind of wish he read some lines for it, because see his audition. That would totally change the tone of it, and so I get why they went with what they did, but I am so intrigued by that.
This is my favorite part.
Casting.
Henson later offered the role to Michael Caine, who replied, and I quote, "Not going to play this movie like I'm working in the Royal Shakespeare Company. I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety. I'm going to play Scrooge as if he is utterly dramatic role, and there are no puppets around me."
And you know what? He did. That is exactly what he did.
Never get that he's acting off. I love that he's like, I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety. But he does sing at the end.
He does sing at the end. You know, when he's introduced with the Scrooge song, and you never see his face. You just see him walking through the crowds and everyone's singing around him about what dick he is. And you're like, okay, well, you're all telling him he's a dick. Like, he's not going to be that nice. But anywho, at the very end, he kind of turns around. He's got that good grimace on his face. Just lays down the
Michael
humbug.
Caine.
Yeah.
Humbug.
And first he says, humbug. Michael Caine. And I'm just
his
like,
name a lot.
And he's like a Pokemon. Pokemon are based off of Michael Caine. But like when he just drops that just deadpan humbug, I'm like, oh, perfect. This is like he's the black hole that's needed in this chaos that is Muppets all around him. Like
that is such a great descriptor.
Yeah, because like you need that if you're gonna tell the Christmas Carol story with Muppets, you need your Scrooge to be totally Scrooged.
And like, he was totally Scrooged, like unlikable. And I think that was the thing. Yeah, he is unlikable.
Yeah,
there's nothing redeeming about his Scrooge,
and he's
the point of this the story.
It's one of the story. And so they nailed it in their casting. They helped tell their story.
And he never did anything remotely Muppety.
No, he didn't. He was true to his word.
And he said he took inspiration for the role from, quote, Wall Street cheats and embezzlers. I thought they represented a very good picture of meanness and greed, unquote.
I did like at the end of the movie when, little tiny Tim is at the party and he falls down and Scrooge goes, "What do we do when we fall down, Master Tiny Tim?" "We pick ourselves up." And Christopher Nolan was watching it at home and he went, "Oh shit.
There's my Alfred.
There's my Alfred and a good line to use. I'm going to write that down."
Oh my God.
All right. Well,
production took place at Shepperton Studios in England during filming in order to allow for the Muppets and human actors to be in the shot. Floors had to be moved and reinserted, with Kane having to dance between narrow catwalks and Muppet performers. Additionally, the buildings in London streets were constructed by hand, but of diminished size in order to achieve the appearance that the streets were relatively longer than they actually are. At the musical sequence, It Feels Like Christmas, when it ends with there's this giant crane shot at the end of the movie, the short building has become very visible. But Brian Henson decided that, even though they were aware of the problem during shooting, that it was such a good closing shot that people would not care.
Yeah, and I'm with him on that. And
I did notice it.
Did I notice it? Yeah, but I liked the effect of it. It made it feel literary, like, oh, I was in a story world, and not necessarily like there's a fantastical element to this story, but it's grounded in so much real world. It is. But I felt almost like I was lifting out of the pages of the book at the very end. It's really interesting that they did that with diminished scale perspective. I didn't pick up on that in the film, but that's so smart. That was there was like a fad in art, following the Renaissance and the Baroque period, where like architects played around with that to make buildings look larger than they actually were. And I saw one of them in a museum once, and it like broke my mind, because you were supposed to look down this hallway from a specific place, and you do, and you're like, okay, that's fine. And then they invite you to walk down the hallway, and you walk down it, and it's like Willy Wonka, and you're like, oh my God,
what is happening?
Yeah, it was really neat. So I'm just imagining being on that set and just like being constantly visually confused all the time. And I love it. I love having that image in my head of Michael Caine tiptoeing around catwalks and blowing his brain on visual perspective and just refusing to wink.
Right.
Merry Christmas, humbug.
Yeah. Sketch, how much do you think this movie cost to make?
I have no idea what a Muppet movie would. I don't know what a Muppet costs. Like
some fleece in a coffee can.
Yeah, I have no.
That's what the necks are. The necks are coffee cans.
Oh, that's smart.
Wrapped in fleece, yeah.
It keeps them nice and sturdy,
nice and rigid, yeah.
Can you give me a comparable something? Can you say something else in this era?
In this era, well, something that we did, on this property, similar dollars. By comparison, in 1988, Beetlejuice cost $15 million.
Okay, I'm gonna go with this had a higher budget than Beetlejuice. I'm gonna say $38 million.
Good guess. Interesting. And I agree. I think it had a much higher production value. This movie cost $12 million to make.
What?
Isn't that just like absolutely batshit crazy when you consider all of the sets and scale and
Michael Caine?
Yeah. Like, how much did Michael Caine get paid for this? Basically nothing.
And then you got Muppets, and then you also have costumers making custom costumes for the Muppets.
They built that whole Victorian Dickensian London.
I am shocked that's all it cost.
I agree.
I am I mean, talk about diminishing perspective. I mean, you look at this thing, you think
this movie punches way above its weight.
Yes, it does.
Big return on the investment.
I am getting just more and more impressed with this movie the more we talk about it.
Okay, so Sketch, how much do you think this movie made? And I want to give you some comparison here.
Yes, please do.
Jim Carrey's version of A Christmas Carol made $325 million.
$325 million.
That's batshit crazy. Bill Murray's Scrooged.
Yeah,
I fucking love Scrooged. Made $100.3 million.
Yeah.
How much do you think the Muppets version of A Christmas Carol made?
I will say $250 million. Do you
want to revise your guess at all?
No, I want to go in between those two.
Okay.
I don't think they topped Jim Carrey's, but
they
had a wider audience than Bill Murray's, I would imagine.
Interestingly, it made $27.3 million.
That's it?
It is. Here is why. Okay. Walt Disney Pictures appeared to have high expectations for the film, being their widest released film of the holiday season and the second widest release under the Disney banner that year. However, the film opened in 6th place, and it was up against Aladdin and Home Alone 2.
Ooh. That's tough. That's a tough
market to
jump into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's. Well, I wish I'd known that before making my guess.
And what I cannot wrap my head around is why they released Aladdin against Muppets. Like,
yeah, I mean, that was their choice.
That was a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to hedge their bets, where they like bought the Christmas Carol, the Muppet Christmas Carol, and be like, we'll have the two biggest Christmas films of the season. I guess Home Alone was Fox, which is now Disney. Now they own it. Yeah. So yeah, I guess they were trying to hedge their bets there.
I mean, maybe this is controversial. I don't know. I mean, I'll just go ahead and say this. Muppet Christmas Carol, to my mind, is a far better Christmas movie than Aladdin. And so...
yes, I will agree with that.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you'll find much argument there from anyone's Sketch.
Well, you know what? It's 2020 and the internet exists, so I'm sure someone somewhere.
Yeah, I was shocked it made such little money.
Yeah, I am legitimately surprised. This is just blowing my mind. The history of all this.
That's the episode.
Do you have any all-important internet scores on either of these two
I have
things?
All-important internet scores for both Muppet Family Christmas and Muppet Christmas Carol. What do you want to start with? Muppet Family Christmas?
Family Christmas, because that's what came first.
Muppet Family, and I don't have any idea of how much money. It was eventually released on both VHS and DVD, although it is significantly altered. And this is a big like scandal among the Muppet enthusiasts that Muppet
they
Family
take out
Christmas.
The doomed babies.
Well, they also like took out a number. What the recurring theme, the recurring gag in this is the icy patch in front of the door that everybody slips on.
Icy patch?
They took out. They only do the first one. They took out all the rest.
They took it. That's what's so great about it. Is that it gets everybody.
It gets yeah. They took that out, and then they took out one of the songs.
Really?
Yeah, I think one of the songs at the end. I can't remember which one.
Why would you take things out for home release?
I don't know.
I think you'd add things in to home release.
I think so. Okay, Family Christmas.
To be fair, I was only joking about the Ulysses cut, but we kind of did watch the Ulysses cut.
We did watch the Ulysses cut of
Muppet
Family Christmas. Yeah. IMDb gives a Muppet Family Christmas an 8.1. Rotten Tomatoes, 81%. 81% for a Muppet Family Christmas, and 97% of Google reviewers fucking love this movie.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I gave it a 100.
Oh, see, I didn't score it. Should I score it real quick?
I gave it a perfect 100.
Okay. I'll give it a Christmas season. I don't want to ding
it's
it
okay,
for
Sketch.
Things. I'll give it in the realm of Christmas properties.
Okay.
So that's key. Just like Hocus Pocus was in the realm of Halloween. I'll give it a 94.
Okay.
A 94. Once again, in the realm of Christmas properties that you could take in. I don't really have anything to rant on. I'm comparing it to our next property.
That's okay.
That we're about to
and that's fair. And I think I'm just going to get hot take. Here's my hot take. I think this is the best Christmas special of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I think it probably gets the Muppet better than almost any other Muppet special that's ever been made. It does not rely on any celebrity cameos.
Nope.
It is just like the characters from Jim Henson's brain onto screen. It perfectly weaves in every Muppet property that existed.
Yeah.
And
I remember that blowing my mind as a child.
Yes.
Like it was my first crossover event.
Right. It was the Avengers Endgame of its day.
Yeah. It was the Arrowverse of my childhood.
When the entire Sesame Street crew shows up, I still am just like, how the fuck did they get like that many people underneath a stage?
Yes.
It's just, it is mind boggling.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the Doozers and the Fraggles.
Mm-hmm.
It is just mind boggling that they pulled this off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's my hot take on that. I think it is the best Christmas special of anything of all time. Mm-hmm. And I say special because there is a difference between a Christmas special and a Christmas movie.
Yeah, you said that to me yesterday, and ever since you said it to me, I was like, God damn it, Shades is really right about that.
Okay.
Yeah. I hate admitting it, but in the spirit of giving.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
There's a clear difference.
There's a clear difference between a Christmas special and a Christmas movie. And I don't know that like I can articulate succinctly what those differences are.
No, I agree. I couldn't. We'll work on that for next year.
Yeah, but there is a difference. And I think there are and maybe I'm wrong, but I think everyone has a preference with which they lean. Mm-hmm. I lean to Christmas special.
Sure.
Elise leans to Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. And rarely do either of us ever like enjoy Agreed. Like I'll watch a Christmas movie and okay. And she will watch a Christmas special and okay. A great example of this is a very Murray Christmas on Netflix, which I just think is fucking brilliant. And it goes back to like the Christmas specials of like the 1950s and 60s that are like very kitsch and just filmed in a ballroom. Sure. With like famous people singing and mucking about and drinking.
Yeah.
And
classic.
And this is, Bill Murray's avant-garde philosophical waxing on that. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. It's brilliant. I am definitely a Christmas special kind of guy. Sketch.
See, and ever since you said that, I don't know which way I lean. I mean, I do not know which way I lean. I mean, I'll take a stab at it in that like a special, a Christmas special, typically, not always, but typically takes an established world or an established group of characters or an established story, and does something Christmas. I do like that, but I like Christmas movies too. I honestly don't. You kind of sprung this notion on me yesterday, and I have not landed on either side of the fence yet.
That's okay.
I truly don't know.
You don't have to. I'm not saying like there are like two kinds of people in the world: people who like Christmas specials and people who like Christmas. I don't think it's like that black and white.
I just like Christmas.
Yeah,
give me Christmas, either movie or special.
You'll
I guess
take it
right
all.
now.
You'll take it all, and I think that's fantastic. Sketch. Yeah. I don't think this is a Last Jedi kind of moment, line in the sand.
I am firmly Christmas cookie though,
as opposed to
no Christmas cookies.
Yeah, I do enjoy a good Christmas cookie.
I am pro Christmas cookie.
Does that what is? Does anybody like fruitcake? No.
Stop sending. You miss it. It makes great audio, but we just watch the phones.
Nothing.
None lit up.
Not a single one.
We're letting any of you long-term listeners call in. We haven't announced our phone number, but if you like fruitcake, you probably have our number. No one called, so I think that just fixes it.
Yeah, I don't understand why it exists. I don't understand why people continue to send them. Please don't. Please stop sending me fruitcake.
Serious question. Have you ever gotten a fruitcake?
Yes.
I've never gotten a fruitcake.
Just once. And it immediately went into the trash.
Yeah. In front of the person. And therefore you never get fruitcake ever again.
Immediately into the trash.
I stayed up all night making this. Funk. Oh.
Trash. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. You filthy animal. How's that for a deep cut?
Yeah, I know.
Do you know that's not a real movie? They filmed it. It's specifically for Home Alone.
And then it showed up again in Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, yes,
but it's a fake.
It's a fake movie.
It's a movie scene made for a fictitious movie.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. But this is not the Home Alone episode.
This is not the Home Alone episode.
Oh, I didn't give it a score.
Yeah, you got a score.
No, I did give it a score. You gave it a 94.
Give it a score. Yeah.
Okay.
Should we go on to Muppet Christmas Carol?
Christmas Carol. Yeah.
Muppet Christmas Carol. IMDb gives it a 7.7.
What?
Rotten Tomatoes. Critic score 76%. Fan score 85%.
Okay.
95% of Google reviewers fucking love this movie.
Yeah.
I gave it 94.
Hey, look at you.
Yeah. I gave it a 94.
Wow, okay. You know what I gave it?
What?
100.
100. Ah, look at
I gave it 100.
I think you're a Christmas movie kind of guy.
I might be a Christmas movie kind of guy. I mean, this is again.
And only because compared to a Muppet Family Christmas.
Yeah, and that's me. That's me compared to a Muppet Family Christmas. I like if I'm gonna watch one of these two like every year. I think I would go with Christmas Carol.
Okay.
I mean, I just like the story of Christmas Carol. I think the Muppets do it very well, very smartly. It hits a wide audience. And I really don't have anything negative to say. I really don't have anything negative to say about the other one either. It's at this point, it's really just like a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Give me an option to watch both right now. Which one am I going to flick on?
Muppet Christmas Carol. Same thing. Which one am I going to flick on? Muppet Family Christmas.
Yeah. Now you ask me this in May, I might feel differently, but when I'm watching around Christmas, solid 100.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I think we set upon it. Sketch.
Yeah. I guess so. I like the way you were like, I'm not saying there are sides and you don't have to pick a side. And then you're like, you've picked a side.
But no, I'm just saying just clearly on our reasoning. Our reasoning for why we gave each one a score.
I agree.
I would say you lean a little bit to that persuasion, but you can love both.
Certainly do.
You can love both of them. Sketch, and I will gleefully watch a Christmas movie and enjoy the shit out of it. I will even watch Home Alone 3 and enjoy the shit out of that.
Yeah,
not the strongest vehicle in that franchise.
We're getting there on the Home Alones, but yeah, Christmas Carol.
An early Scarlett Johansson
really
vehicle.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Guys,
we're getting there.
All right. Well, I guess let's get into. I mean, we spoiler alert. We really don't have a lot of rants.
No, I mean, what is there to rant about?
And it's Christmas, and what are we going to rant?
They're not long enough.
Yeah, and they're they're so. A Muppet Family Christmas is just like it's just so pure, and it's like it perfectly exists within the Muppet universe, and it's just pure concentrated Muppetness. And then Christmas Carol is based on like an established, well-known story. Like what are we gonna rant on here?
I will say if you don't like A Christmas Carol, you're in for a tough watch.
I bet you are, but I can't put that on them for that.
Right. And I would agree. I would agree.
But I like A Christmas Carol. It's like, it's like the black sheep, or the dark horse. Those are the two animals of which you, of like Christmas stories, you know, it's
very
like,
much.
What are you used to? Santa and angels, and gift giving, and ghosts. Whoa! A man who
has shown the worthlessness of his life and the abject absence of legacy that he will impart on the world.
And mistletoe and fruitcake, you know, like it's just like
meaningless of your frivolous existence.
It's like Christmas Carol, you're coming out strong.
It really is.
Coming out strong against like Rudolph and Frosty, like chill.
Child, like death.
Abject
poverty.
And not only child death, but aftermath of child death.
Yeah.
Like what the heartbreaking thing about A Christmas Carol, not just the Muppet version, is that, like, you know, we don't see Tiny Tim die. We
see the
know
effect it has on the family.
To die. And then we see the effect. Oh, that's just heartbreaking.
And
an effing Christmas Story. Yeah, that's tough. That is tough. And then the Muppet Christmas Carol, like, it hit that scene out of the park. Like,
I have one gripe with a Muppet Christmas Carol.
Go ahead.
When Scrooge, not even a gripe, when Scrooge goes to visit his nephew.
Mm-hmm. In real life or in Ghost of Christmas Present?
In Ghost of Christmas Present.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When he takes him to see his nephew.
Sure.
The nephew is supposed, if I remember the book correctly,
mm-hmm.
the nephew is supposed to say like glowing things about him,
mm-hmm.
because Scrooge is supposed to hate his nephew because his sister died in childbirth.
Oh, interesting.
And that's what Scrooge holds against his nephew, Fred.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Fred is only ever supposed to be like kind and loving and generous toward him.
Yeah.
And Scrooge is his benefactor, right? So he like looks after and looks out for Fred his whole life, and Fred like throws that all away and doesn't want to go into, you know, being a money lender, and just embraces like the joy of life. And in this telling, they like Fred is always very nasty to him and like sarcastic, and that I was like, oh, that was an interesting choice. It was an interesting choice.
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think of that when I was watching it.
Kind of broke the story for me.
Yeah, because it really is the only version of the telling that I can think of.
Yeah,
where they go that direction. Also, Fred did a great job. The actor.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. Yep,
it was really good too. Yeah, but I mean,
it's a little.
Oh, it's tiny.
But it was.
It's tiny. It's like I have tiny little things. I have tiny little things in the other one, which you know we'll get there.
Sure.
But do you want to rave first? I mean, like, I don't have any official raves, but
I mean that's my rant.
Out for a
that is my.
That's
rant.
your one rant. Okay. What do you want to rave about? We already raved about Gonzo being our narrator. Super smart.
Let's stick with Muppet Christmas Carol. Gonzo being the narrator, super smart. The ghosts.
The ghosts
are
awesome.
Like the Ghost of Christmas Past
is terrifying.
Yes,
terrifying.
Thank you. It is like Muppets are supposed to be covered in felt. This one, I don't know how they did it. It looks like a porcelain doll. It's not. And it's the ghost of a child, like haunting, first, like creepy child.
A doomed child, one might say.
Yes, a doomed child.
This episode brought to you by Doomed Children, apparently. That's not, guys, that's not on us. That they chose. That was a choice. Yes, and not ours.
It was an interesting choice, but it was a choice nonetheless. A doomed, like, porcelain-faced child that's like very ethereal.
Yes,
it is haunting.
It is haunting.
It is by far the most terrifying of all the spirits.
And that's what I wanted to get to when you were talking about the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, and it is rightfully
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Ghost of Christmas Past is more terrifying.
I would 10 times out of 10 I would
jumping out the fucking window.
I would absolutely turn to the Ghost of Christmas Is Yet to Come for comfort
right.
when the Ghost of Christmas Past shows up at my doorstep. I mean, that little child is terrifying. And you're right. The way the hair moves and like the clothing, like it always feels like it's like underwater.
Yeah, like drowned maybe. Movement. Yeah.
And I'm always kind of like, all right. I mean, we're so used to calling these ghosts from so many stories, but I mean, they are spirits. I mean, it's not necessarily the ghost of a child,
right?
But it sure goddamn feels like it.
Sure feels like it, yeah.
You know, but then I love the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yes,
like the full suit, like, and there you go. There's an instance of Muppet legs.
Yes,
okay,
I'm okay with
Muppet
that.
legs like that. If
it's like a Sweetum sized Muppet, I'm okay with. Yeah,
then I'm fine with that.
And
don't
like,
give me the little noodle legs.
Good on them that they like the aging effect that they did.
Yeah, the aging was great.
Like they spared no expense on that. Like there's your 12 million right there.
Yeah, and I like how they talk about how, and you know, it comes from the source material, but they, you know, like he gets one. This is his one Christmas.
Is one Christmas.
And then, you know, all of his brothers have come before him, and there'll be more coming after him. And then the final one is just, you know, we spent a lot of time with the little child one.
We do.
You know, because there's a lot of Scrooge backstory that we go through. Thankfully, we don't spend a lot of time with Ghost of Christmas Future,
right?
Because I mean, it's pretty spooky. It's pretty spooktacular.
Yeah, it's so gaunt too. Like a lot of times when you see a Ghost of Christmas Future, it's like a hulking kind of thing on stilts. This was it's an interest. The proportions are very interesting. It's the you know, the person underneath it is, you know, flat-footed. It's not exceptionally taller than Michael Caine, but it's just long and gaunt.
Like, no,
there's nothing to like the arms.
Yeah. And once again, 10 times out of 10, that's my Muppet of comfort.
Muppet of comfort that you're going to.
If my other option is Spirit of Christmas Past.
Because Spirit of Christmas Present's not hanging around very long.
No, you know, right when you need him, he's gone.
He's gone, yeah.
And all you're left with is Christmas Past. And Christmas Past just got more powerful. He absorbed another one.
No! Sketch, do you have a rave that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, again, the Gonzo thing, definitely big.
Gonzo's just fucking, he's working hard. He's chewing some scenery.
He's chewing scenery. He's making it so relatable to every age level.
Right.
I mean, because there's definitely like silly shtick things that he does for the kids. There's definitely like, I wish I had an example on the top of my head, but there's definitely references to the original text that he's doing, like for the people who really know the story.
Right.
There is him ogling the chickens for the pervs in the audience. Like he's hitting everybody. He's the perfect host for this.
The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come shows up. Like, we're
we're
out of here. We'll see you at
the finale.
Yeah, we'll see you at the finale.
And you know what? True to their word, they don't show up again until the very end. Yeah. And when they show up again, they say, "We told you we'd be back."
Yeah, here we are.
I mean, that decision was just brilliant. We've talked about Michael Caine. I mean, we've kind of talked about all of my raves about this particular movie, like in just talking about it. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I mean, A Christmas Carol to me is just so Christmassy anyway. That Victorian age Christmas story. Yeah. I don't know what it is about it, but it just... And maybe that has something to do with the fact that we live in New England, and that just really feels Christmas to me.
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't like it when they try and tell this story in present times. I don't like it when they try and do a modern adaptation of A Christmas Carol.
I agree.
And, here in my neck of the woods, we have a resident theater company in Providence. And they do A Christmas Carol every year. And I'm always like, my heart kind of just like sinks when inevitably they like set it in the 1950s or set it in present day. It's like, just okay, you tried something, but it works best when they set it in the appropriate time period, I find.
And it's so interesting because when it is set in the appropriate time period, this story feels timeless. And as soon as you stick it in another time period, it feels so inauthentic.
Yeah.
You know,
dated that you're inauthentic. Yeah.
And so the fact that they chose to go authentic with the Muppets on this,
Big brave.
Was that the easiest way for them to do it? No, but it was definitely the right choice. And
the Penguin ice skating competition.
The Penguin ice skating, and you know what?
Annual.
Every once in a while, Gonzo throws in like a little reference that we would understand. And sure, the rats at the beginning are trying to wear Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah,
when they say it's warm. But okay, but other than that, I mean, like, no other character breaks the illusion that this is of that time. And
Big Grave.
And like I said, we've talked about the other things I wanted to talk about with like the production quality. Like, you've talked about it even more than I knew with like the perspective and everything. And the costumes on these little Muppets, and like
the costuming in Muppet Christmas Carol is on point. Sometimes like Muppets are often unclothed just because they're Muppets.
Yeah,
and often the clothing that they wear is not up to spec, let's say.
Yeah. Or like good. you'll give them like a prop clothing, like, okay, this character has a bow tie, or this character is wearing a hat, so you know that it's like Tiny Tim. No, they're completely dressed as if they are actors on a stage.
Yeah.
In these little tiny custom suits that you would never ever
$12 million.
Yeah,
it's bonkers. It is as bonkers as Beetlejuice.
Yep, 100. I gave it 100.
Yeah. I think it's well deserving. I'm just gonna rave a little bit for Muppet Christmas Carol.
Sure.
That many characters, that many voiced characters on stage or screen, however they are shooting it, whatever applies, I don't know. And the whole thing is all about just how many creatures there are. And how little space there is, but it never feels overcrowded.
No, we were hanging in this closet.
We're hanging in the coat closet on hangers, but it just doesn't feel overcrowded. You know, the farmhouse somehow accommodates the Muppet Show, Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock. They're all in there. And it all works somehow. Nobody feels lost. It's always the Muppet story, but like, even when Sesame Street shows up, it doesn't feel like they're just trying to like cram Sesame Street in.
No,
they fit organically. And we've talked about, that's hard to do. It's really hard to do, and they do it well.
Yeah, because, and we didn't really talk about it much in this episode, but like, Muppets have a very different feel than Sesame Street.
Very, very. They should not work together.
And they just show up, and we're all good.
Blend right in.
We're all good. We're all family. And that's what's so great about the Muppet Family Christmas special. It really is.
Thank you.
Family.
That was my next point. There is something about this, like, when you're watching it, you feel a part of what is happening. Like, you feel like you're there in the farmhouse, which I think is also really hard to do. But I think it was intentional. And it really does it well. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but I think more so than any other special that's crafted like this, it works really well, and it pulls you into it, that you feel like you're in the thick of it and part of the story.
Well, like I said, when I watched it again after so many years of not watching it, it felt like seeing a family member that I haven't seen in so long. And they do so many different relationships so well, like, because you obviously have the Kermit and Piggy thing going on, where Piggy's not there and trying to get in for the storm. You have these new characters, not new to us, but new to the group, Doc and Sprocket, who are who are becoming part of this family, and you have the Fraggles intertwined as kind of like this almost mythical place that exists that Kermit has told his nephew about, and they find evidence of it, and they blend in. Like, it has all of these familial relationships done really well in films.
And it's the only time, and you touched on this in a Christmas special, like it somehow takes a familiar thing that we know and love and are familiar with, and it sets them against the backdrop of something. This is the only time that all of the Muppet universes cross over. It's the only time that a Muppet goes down to Fraggle Rock. It's the only time a Fraggle comes into or interact with Sesame Street. And I think that's really, it accomplishes it breaks the thing that we know in such a way that it still feels familiar and new and special.
Yeah. When Sesame Street shows up and everyone comes in, I'm like, at first, my tiny little elementary school mind was blown because this is a giant crossover.
Right.
And then the second thing is they would all know each other.
Of course they
would
know
all
each
be
other.
Family and spend the holidays together. And you still feel that. You still feel that. Here we are in our mid to late 30s, and you still feel it.
Still feel it. And I will just say, I will still rewind the last scene of Jim Henson washing dishes with Sprocket.
Oh, that's the other big rave I have of it. The fact that Jim Henson has a cameo, and it's it's the perfect cameo too, where he's just I
love
in
to see them all have a good time together.
Yeah, big rave, giant rave there.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because I forgot about that until I rewatched it, and then it all flooded back to me. That part flooded back to me. I forgot that he was actually pictured in it. Yeah, that's a big rave. That's a heartwarming.
I think that might be his only on-screen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, he saved it for a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the one to have. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any gripes or rants?
I don't really have any rants. I have a couple big questions, which would kind of ding. That's what gives me the 94.
Okay. Should we transition to big questions? BQs.
Yeah, because no rants. No
rants.
You had a tiny gripe, and I have no rants. Okay. So BQs. My big question is, why does all of Sesame Street come to Emily Bear's house? That connection isn't established.
Because they're invited.
But who invited them? Because Emily didn't. Emily did not invite. I mean,
Emily was taking surfing lessons in California.
She was about to leave for California. I mean, similarly, then did she just? I forget their names. The two older guys who
Stantler and Waldorf.
She also invited them over, herself.
Yeah, she calls and invites them.
Yes, so she calls them. I don't know who invites the Sesame Street. They kind of show up as carolers,
right?
And then come in, which I'm fine with.
Sesame Street Gang.
I'm totally okay with that.
Here's carolers,
but it is just why did they pick this one house?
Yeah, and it was big enough. It's the only house there.
Why were they dropped off so far away that they had to march through the forest?
They walked all the way from Sesame Street.
That's what it really felt like.
Right. And this was halfway between the Muppet Theater and Sesame Street.
Meanwhile, I truly feel like Miss Piggy's chauffeur died in that storm.
Oh yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah. The car was blown away. He was
fed to the sled dogs
mangled.
That she was going to give to Doc, just waiting.
That's
but Sesame Street people just
Jerome, the chauffeur. She fed him to the sled dogs.
Oh, let me backtrack again because I forgot another rave I have about Muppet Family
Where
Christmas.
did she get the costume for Doc?
I don't know. How
did she know his size?
She has many. She has That was just one of many costumes.
There's an infinite hammer space of costumes for chauffeurs.
Now, let me say this right before we get further, because I'll forget about it again. I effing loved, I don't know what it was, not A plot, not B plot, maybe C plot. The Swedish chef is going to cook Big Bird. Okay, so if you're used to the Swedish chef, you know that he's always looking for food to cook. And so like the turkey shows up and like he's hunting the turkey throughout the whole episode until the Sesame Street gang shows up, and the turkey sells out Big Bird. The turkey just like opens the door. He's like, "Listen, you can have me, or
feast your eyes on this."
And the Swedish chef loses his fucking mind.
Throws the pan over the roasting pan over his head. The sink explodes.
And I am like, I'm
like thunderclaps
100% on board with this.
Yeah. Because I want a side, like I would love just to see like a side, like short about the Swedish chef hunting Big Bird.
Yes. And I'm thinking like, if you're watching this thing just as a very young kid who knows Sesame Street, and then are like, "Oh, Sesame Street is going to be in this special. Let's watch it." Oh my God, they're going to kill
the Swedish
Big Bird.
chef is going to fucking kill Big Bird.
They're going to serve Big Bird at dinner.
Can you imagine like what that would? Can you just like imagine this giant like roasted Big Bird with like the white ends on the leg, drumsticks?
All I can say is, with that many people there,
that's the only way they're
wasn't going to cut it. It was only going to be Big Bird.
Yeah.
But I effing loved that. Like, so that was probably to me the best interaction between Muppet and Sesame Street. Like worlds combining.
Yeah. And then Big Bird gives him
chocolate covered bird
seed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that melts his heart.
Yep.
And he's like, "Oh, I won't cook."
And they have a vegetarian thing, dinner, Christmas dinner.
Yep. And yeah. So I guess my biggest question for the Muppet Family Christmas is just like, I love that they showed up. I love that they're caroling, but we've like established that Emily Bear is like way out there.
This is pre like Google Maps.
Yep. This is like this is pre MapQuest.
You've got to have a road atlas of the United States.
Yeah. And and they're just walking through the woods.
Yeah, well, my question is how do Fraggles work that they can just like the it seems that Fraggle holes are like the Bifrost Bridge.
Yeah, it does very much feel like that.
It just appears anywhere and they emerge from that spot, just like Fraggle Rock is like a finite place.
Did you ever see Howl's Moving Castle?
Yes.
It reminds me of the door from Howl's Moving Castle. That just like the opening shows up in various ways.
The TARDIS door moves, but the TARDIS is stationary.
The TARDIS stays the same. Yeah, exactly.
Which also doesn't make sense when the TARDIS is like flying down the road and shit. But that's neither here nor there. This is not the Doctor Who episode. Here's another.
This is a question you might actually know the answer to, because I just don't know the answer to this. Who is Robin's parents?
I have
Does
no
nobody
idea.
know? Like, is they just like established? Like, they just made a nephew.
Robin is Kermit's nephew.
Yeah,
who came to stay with Kermit, sometime during the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
and it's Kermit's sister.
Okay, so Kermit has a sister.
Kermit has a sister. I don't think she's ever appeared on anything.
Okay, so he really is just like a satellite nephew.
Yes,
without a family attached.
Correct.
That was that was a legitimate big question that I'm just And Tiny Tim was meant to be Robin. That was like Robin playing Tiny Tim. Okay.
But then there was also Peter.
There was also Peter,
which was another random frog nephew that we've never seen before.
And that's my next big question. How come Kermit's family don't have his eyes?
I don't think that a frog and a pig can produce frog and pig offspring.
Shades, I don't want to alarm you here. I don't think that. I know that. After years of experimentation, I've yet to get an amphibious bacon substitute.
I mean, that was bonkers that there were like all of these little pigs and frogs.
Yeah, and like, okay, and you have to think.
And, well, here's the answer to that.
Think about it.
They were cast that way because this was just a telling where they were playing. My favorite Gonzo wall break is when Sam the American Eagle is playing Scrooge's headmaster is like, business, it's the American way. Sam, the British way.
Yeah.
And also, Sam has my favorite line of Muppet Family Christmas, where they just like pan to him and he just looks right down the barrel of the camera. Why am I here? Yes.
Sam is good. I never got Sam as a kid, and I relate way more to Sam now.
I love Sam the American Eagle.
Yep. Yeah, but Kermit has such iconic eyes.
He does.
So much so that they have that new species of frog that was discovered that has similarities to Kermit's eyes.
Oh, is that true?
And they named him after Kermit.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yeah. Google it. Real life Kermit frog, and you'll see it. Yeah. It is. It does deposit a world in which.
My goodness!
Yeah, isn't that cool?
And this is a newly discovered.
This is recently discovered frog. And
that is
Jim. Jim Henson knew.
Jim Henson did a lot of drugs.
Yeah. He saw this frog.
He saw this. Wow.
The funny thing is,
it looks just like Kermit.
Right. It almost looks genetically enginered to be.
That's what I'm saying. Is it possible that
it's
scientists
so crazy
in a lab made this frog?
I don't know. I guess that's a big question.
It is striking. Sketch. Here's a big question. Am I interrupting a big question of yours? Here's a big question. What the fuck does Kermit wear around his neck?
Yeah, because that's not a frog part.
It's not a frog part.
That's not like frogs don't have frills. What? He's not a Dilophosaurus.
Yeah.
I want to see a scene where it just pops up and he spits venom at Newman.
Venom in your face. What? Yeah. What is that? Is it a lily pad?
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Is he wearing a lily pad around his neck?
Because other frogs, without his eyes, other frogs also don't have that little neck frill.
They don't.
It is a question, but it is something that has made him iconic.
Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog here.
Kermit.
Waka waka. I was going to say one other thing, but I guess I forgot it. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. How do you feel about Miss Piggy?
Not a fan.
Yeah, I've always found her so annoying. I've never liked Miss Piggy.
The most plausible thing in the Muppets that Kermit and Piggy did not stay together, and they were estranged.
Oh yeah, in the movie.
Good decision, Kermit.
I was like, Kermit, yeah,
good decision.
You cut
that. You dodged a bullet there.
Yep. Because honestly, I know it's a big gag, but she's kind of toxic.
She is.
Yeah.
She's not kind of.
And she's abusive. Toxic. She's very physically abusive. Yes. Oh, Piggy. We're coming down hard on Piggy.
Not a fan.
All right, here's my last big question. Do you remember, and I know you do, so also what happened to Scooter? Or Skeeter?
Skeeter.
Skeeter's the boy.
Yes. Skeeter is the nephew of the person who owns the Muppet Theater.
And he has a twin
Kermit's
sister.
Best friend. So Scooter only existed in Muppet Babies.
Exactly.
She was a new character for Muppet Babies because they wanted to have more female characters, and she never made the jump from Muppet Babies to live action Muppets.
That's a shame.
Interesting because in Muppet Family Christmas, they make puppet versions of the Muppet Babies. It's
they
do. The only time we ever see them on screen, and there is no Scooter.
No. And Muppet Family Christmas would have been the ideal
to introduce her
vehicle to bring her in.
Yep.
And I agree with the Muppet Baby decision of we have is Miss Piggy. We need another girl character. Let's show more facets other than this pig. And I also thought I thought that too, and I think that's what made me think of, where is Scooter? Because in Family Christmas, you have Miss Piggy and you have the musician
and Janice. Yep. And that's
and
it.
you have Emily Bear.
Yep. That's it.
And then everyone else was dudes.
Yep.
And I was like,
bunch of dudes.
And that's when I thought, wait, Scooter should be here. Wait a minute. I've never seen Scooter as a 3-dimensional actual puppet.
So that I will say that's probably the one thing that the new Muppet Babies has done well. They've really fleshed out fleeced out the
felt it out.
Waka waka. They've really, expanded the cast in a meaningful way.
I know they added a penguin.
Yep.
I saw the penguin on the thumbnail.
Yep.
And is Scooter still in it?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. So she wasn't cut for the new. Okay, good. Well, then, Justice for Scooter. That is going to be that's the hill we're going to die on. That's what's going to bury this podcast. Is that we're not going to rest until we get Scooter in felt.
We'll see what happens.
That's what we need.
Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. She was the sporty Muppet.
She was the sporty Muppet.
She was the only.
Muppets aren't really sporty.
No, I mean, have you seen their legs? But Scooter.
I have. They're haunting.
Maybe she had a sport-related accident that we don't talk about. Yeah.
Muppets from the waist up only.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, if you take away anything from this episode, it's Justice for Scooter. We need to find Scooter. I would watch the shit out of a new Muppet movie where it's just like Skeeter finding his long lost twin sister. I really truly would.
Sketch. I think that brings us to.
All right, you want to start us off on this?
Sure. I'm gonna do 2 recommendations.
Whoa! What a gift!
I am going to recommend the Hebrew Hammer.
Oh man, I saw that like so many years ago. But
the Hebrew Hammer. It is. There aren't a lot of Hanukkah themed special / movies out there, and this is it's a good one. Yeah. I think the other one is Eight Crazy Nights is the Adam Sandler.
So many years ago, but yeah. I do remember laughing.
I enjoy it. It's a good time. Not fun for the whole family, but
no, it's not an all family.
It's really
thing.
smart.
It's not a Muppet Christmas Carol.
It's not a Muppet. It's not a. Don't let the kids watch that one. But it is. It's so smart. It's so poignant, and I just laugh out loud funny. And then I will also recommend 2014. I just saw it on Netflix. It's called Get Santa, and it just wow, what a great small self-contained movie. I think I recommended Christmas Chronicles last year, and what I said about it was like, yeah, great self-contained like fun vehicle, and like Kurt Russell is a great, and then they made a sequel to it, and I'm like, god damn it. But Get Santa is a very similar idea of Santa gets arrested and father recently released from prison has to reunite with son and save Christmas, and Warwick Davis is in it, and it was fantastic. And who plays Santa? Oh man, Jim Broadbent plays Santa. Jim Broadbent, fantastic actor, and I just want to see him. I just want to see him play Santa for the rest of his career.
Check that one out. I haven't seen it, nor have I ever heard of it. So,
and I had never heard of it either. It's British.
For the rec.
It's British. Okay. It's fantastic. There are a lot of references that you might not get because every culture seems to have their own where Santa lives and Santa's powers and how Santa gets letters and all those things. And,
sure.
But Warwick Davis was just, he brought it, and it makes me excited for Willow.
Wow. Words you never thought you'd say.
Yeah. So
the Christmas miracle.
The combination of Warwick Davis and Jim Broadbent acting, because Jim Broadbent is like 6'5", and Warwick Davis not 6'5".
6'5".
And so just the two of them against each other. And they really sell it. Jodie Whittaker plays the mom.
Cool.
Current doctor plays the mom. And yeah.
All right.
It was fun. It was very fun. I think you'll enjoy it if you give it a watch. It's streaming on Netflix right now.
Perfect. That's the kind of things I like.
Yep, and it's a nice little standalone, no cutscene. Yeah, that's it.
There you go. Very good.
Sketch. What do you recommend?
All right. Well, I feel like I should give 2 recommendations as well. So I'm going to recommend a song first. It's my favorite holiday song.
Okay.
That I don't think a lot of people know about. It's from one of my favorite band is Bare Naked Ladies. They have a holiday album.
They do. It's
Bare
very
Naked
good
for the holidays. And my favorite holiday song is Hanukkah Blessings. It is.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there are few Hanukkah songs to choose from, and I think the Bare Naked for the Holidays Hanukkah Blessing song is just absolutely beautiful. It's just a gorgeous song, and I don't celebrate the holiday. I'm not that familiar with the significance of things, but you get the the beauty of the spirit of the holiday in that song, and it's just a gorgeous song. So if you're looking for a new Hanukkah song that you haven't heard before, try Hanukkah Blessings by Bare Naked Ladies.
I will do that, Sketch.
And I am going to recommend the new Star Wars holiday special that came out on Disney Plus. It is the Lego Star Wars holiday special.
Is it a Lego retelling of the Star Wars holiday special?
This is why.
Or is it original content?
It is original content. It takes place in the new trilogy. It takes place basically where our characters ended in after Rise of Skywalker.
Interesting.
But there is a time traveling element to it, so you do see other components. It's Lego Star Wars. It ties everything together, and the biggest rave I have for it is it brings back Life Day and Chewie's family.
Interesting.
And for that alone, I think it's worth watching.
How old is Chewie's kid?
Still a kid. But the fact that they thought enough to actually it's legitimately the same characters, his father, his wife, and his son.
Son.
They didn't just this is Chewie's family and they're coming for Life Day. No, it's the family from Life Day. And the fact that they were willing to go that route, I think, is worth a watch. I think it's less than an hour long. It's funny.
Okay.
It's there were definitely parts that are a little cringy, but there are also definitely parts that are clever and funny, and it's worth a watch.
The Lego stuff is hit or miss with me.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a shot, Sketch.
Yeah, I think this one is worth a little watch.
I will go down that rabbit hole.
If only just to give Chewie's family a little more screen time than they've ever had before.
Sketch, we got through this whole episode without saying anything about The Mandalorian. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, we're saving it because we want to talk Mandalorian in earnest. I mean, I will just say,
fuck you, Rian Johnson!
And just the thing I have said to people who have seen it is, see, was it that hard to give us what we wanted,
right,
and make it good?
Yeah,
you didn't have to subvert expectations to make good story.
Yeah,
you can still give the audience what they want and make it awesome. The big
criticism is that this universe has existed outside of canonical trilogy Star Wars, and now in this season they leaned too heavily on it and they made it about canonical Star Wars universe, and I disagree. I don't think that they did.
I also don't think they did. I think they brushed up to canonical Star Wars, and I'll make the argument that they used this season to launch some new stories and properties.
They used this season to the big thing was like, we're the spark that lights the rebellion that burns the First Order down. They used this season to resurrect Expanded or Legacy, whatever you want to call it. They expanded Rebels leaned into it heavily when they brought Thrawn into it.
Sure.
But and now like they have used Mandalorian to connect. It is the connective tissue of the Star Wars universe, and it's made by true fans that understand
the
source material and how to use it without being fan servicey or disrespectful.
Yep. Bingo. And if you want to hear more of our thoughts on The Mandalorian,
come back in January.
Come back 2021.
Longtime listeners, thanks for sticking with us. It's been a strange year. It's been a very strange. I mean, I'm a little ripe. I've been in this tin can for all of 2020, basically.
Yep.
Thank goodness we figured out how to turn off the voice modulator.
The old voice modulators.
But we will see you from. We will be back with you from the other side.
Shades.
2021.
Do you want to take anything with you from the Muppets? I mean, I figured that you'd want to take something from the
Muppets.
No,
I just want to take this overwhelming sense of warmth and joy and familiarity. And I don't want to take anything from this so that I can revisit it again in the future.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Thank you. You going to take anything?
The haunting memory of doomed children this holiday season.
I will make sure, if that didn't make it into the audio when I screen shared, I will make sure to overlay that into the episode sketch.
Perfect. So you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Did you think the Ghost of Christmas Past was going to be the most doomed child in this episode?
My goodness.
I originally thought it would have been.
Yeah.
But
no.
Little did I know.
No.
Ooh. So guys, happy holidays. Thanks for geeking out with us.
Thanks for spending your holiday with us.
Thanks for letting us stuff your stockings and tinsel your tree and egg your nogs
and hang your Muppets.
Oh yeah.
Wait.
Do you hang Muppets?
From hangers. Oh, but we're in the hangers.
Yeah, like we are. Yeah. They've
run out of room. Gonna have to build some bunk beds in the kennel.
And guys, not only will we see you next time,
we'll see you next year.
How about that, huh? Happy holidays, everybody.
Bye.
If you'd like to take a more active role in supporting Geeking Out, visit us at patreon.com/shadesansketch.
Our website is shows.acast.com/geekingout.
You can email the show at gowithshadesandsketch@gmail.com or contact us through Facebook or Twitter.
Geeking Out is a production of Tree Cave Creative, LLC. All rights reserved, 2020.